Welcome back to Autolooks. This week we're looking at a Russian supercar. Yeah, somebody from Russia is building a supercar. Ever heard of the MaRussia supercar manufacturing company? Well, they're out and they got the new B1. Of course, it was released this year in 2010. They're now working on the B2 supercar. Waiting for pictures on that. Well, you can find them online, but waiting for some good pictures from my article. Okay, but this week we're looking at the B1. What a wild looking car. What happens when you get a bunch of Russians together and say, hey, everybody else has got supercars. Even Canada's got two now. Why don't we have one? Well, let's make one. This is what you get. Okay. It's kind of very dark, cold, cool, and fast appeal to it. Sort of like when you think Russia, okay? When you see the HTT Plethora, the Canadian supercar, you don't really think, you look at it and think, oh, that looks Spanish, that looks Italian. When you look at the MaRussia, just saying the name, you automatically know Russian. But you look at it, you think it's Russian. This thing is different. Like, look at Lada. Very simple, edgy, and boring. Well, MaRussia gets rid of the boring, just goes simple, edgy. Up front, I think you got a little too many curves, okay? Those front air ducts in the trunk lid there, they're not that bad, but it could have been a little bit better. I think the lights, get rid of the pyramid style, well, triangle style there, and go out with two slits. Two very thin, let's say 2 or 3 inch slits, right along the top of that wheel well. Awesome look. Or, if you want to do them like that, just make them like the slits like that. Cut it down a little bit. I'm not too into that. It's a little too curvy up front. Now, it's a nice effect that they added the lines going a bit onto the hood line from the air ducts. It's still kind of iffy. It kind of gives a nice round nose. Not the greatest looking thing in the world, but still kind of nice. Looking onto the side of these cars, the two-tone color, not really working for me. Like just one simple plain gray, black, even an orange. Worked for Bugatti, but that's a Bugatti. Everyone knows they're two-tone. MaRussia, try to go with two-tone, but it's kind of an odd two-tone. The air ducts on the side, pretty neat. Their spoilers are kind of cool. They're really kind of cool. We're going to say the side lamps, or not lamps, mirrors, very cool, okay? Hung on by 2 thin pieces of steel. Adds a neat effect. It's not just one big giant plastic mold holding this whole thing on. Just 2 pieces of metal. Very simple, very plain, very cool. Reduces the amount of drag on the side of the car. Very neat. Now, up front, yeah, I'm not going to give it the world's greatest mark. Why? Because the top of it looks like a space dome from the 1950s. And there's a little too many curves. Should be more edging. Kind of create some edging lines on this thing. You might have something really cool. Now, let's go out back. Okay. My picture's a little dark. Okay, out back, this thing's kind of neat. Like in other supercars, they put the exhaust dead center. Cool, neat. Should have did like their headlights. Okay, they got a triangle for the headlights. Should have did 2 triangles for the exhaust. Those 2 round ones, not that bad, but sort of like 2 little cannons sticking out the back, or making it easier. 2 strippers, or a stripper with 2 coat style, like you know what, and just sticking right out of the back end. Tail lights are really neat because these ones are lit up. They are, again, like a triangle. Or not like a triangle, they cut this way. But they cut them in on the back half of it, which makes it even look cooler. When you light them up, really wild. Now, the back end of this car is really long, okay? Well, the engine's in the back. Mid-engine rear-wheel drive. Got to do that, right? No problem. This one, there's no deck. Like, no spoiler. Adding an NSX style rear spoiler to the back of this car would kind of add in a bit of more fast appeal to this thing. Like, it's nice to have that nice smooth curve going all the way along the back. But really, when you got a space bubble in the center of it, you might want something else to even it out. Like, look at the Murcielago or Diablo. It comes down, but it comes down in a very gradual slope. So it blends in. It follows the line of the roof. So it doesn't create that bubble. Bubbles were cool in the 50s. Nowadays, kind of iffy. Overall, in this car, I'm not giving it the greatest mark. Like a 7 out of 10. Still got that 1950s space bubble on it, but altogether, doesn't have the world's greatest design. I'm waiting for the B2 to come out. Oh, okay. That thing is wild. They've fixed basically most of the problems you see on this thing. This is the first one. First one, you're always going to have some issues. They should have went with more edgy design, like more lines, more points, more edges. This thing's got curves added to these things. You have to kind of get rid of these curves. Get rid of those nice round curves in the front, the bubble dome, and then some points to them. You can create something a little bit cooler, a little bit faster, a little bit more wild. Okay? Now for this week, you gotta think. Russian supercar. Have you seen all of it? No. No. Check out my article online at angelfire.com/ex2/autolooks. I don't know if you got all that. And you can read up in the article for a Turkish sports car from last year. Or this year we got an SUV from Iran. Kind of neat. Trust me, I thought I've seen it all, but there's some pretty neat cars out there. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And for the Russians, they've come a long way from those weird, horrible, cheap built Ladas to the MaRussia B1. It's not my Russia, but hey, I'm putting this thing up there with cars of the likes of TBR, Marcos, and Caterham. It's that cool. For this week, this is Ever Jay saying, keep 'em coming.